Oh man, it's gonna be all fucked up now.
Why?
Well, because you're breaking your routine.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So
I think that's part of why my week's been fucked.
Yeah, because your routine's been. No, we are. I mean, at some point here in the near future.
Yeah.
Hold on a second. I'll wait till you
sorry.
get that. No, do your thing. And share it. Bing.
Go on,
Bing,
Jeff. What
bing,
were you saying?
What I was saying was. Here we are at season 3, episode 3, and again we're on a roll.
Yeah,
no
man.
pun intended. It's a Jiu-Jitsu podcast, and I just said we're on a roll.
Jeff, how's your week been? Have you? I haven't really seen you a lot this week.
Well, that's what we were just talking about. It's been jacked up. We are July 8th. I think we're recording this episode, and so I hope you guys all had a good 4th of July. I mean, mine was nondescript because my plans got canceled.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. You have a very interesting method to that.
Yeah, so I mean, it was pretty simple, really.
Right.
And that we celebrate 4th of July with family friends like every year because they have a nice piece of property, and he's one of my best friends, and we're really we like to blow shit up. So I mean,
right.
So we have the property and the space for it, and we have a great time. We try to put on a good show every year for our families. But he got sick, so it got canceled.
Right.
And so we just waited until he felt better, and now we're going to do it Saturday.
Yeah. And he does have a written formal apology to America, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
For ruining her birthday.
Yes. Sorry, America.
Yeah. I've had a lot. Like you were just talking about this before the show. I'm switching up my routine.
You are.
And
some of it was not by choice.
Some of that is bad. Some of that is. So I feel like all this week I only went to one day of jiu-jitsu. It was guard passing day, which is a good day to pick. If you're going to pick one day a week to go, guard passing day is a good day. But I'm still in a jiu-jitsu funk right now.
Are you?
Yeah.
Wow. What's your funk?
It's lack of jiu-jitsu.
It just
it got me feeling funky.
Yeah, funky.
I don't feel not funky.
Yeah.
Funky.
You're like
dude, wash your balls.
Yeah, that's funky.
Yeah. So I mentally I feel like I need to wash my balls, but physically I'm present, Jeff, and I'm here.
You are
I'm
here.
not taking notes, and I'm looking right at you.
You are. We're staring at each other deep in the eyes.
We'll get that.
Yeah, we can do it.
It's only episode 3.
It's episode 3. Give us some time, guys.
Yeah.
So at any rate, so actually that's it works really well with our main topic today.
Yes.
Because we're going to talk about longevity in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And this is something that we talk about a lot, and I don't know if we're ready to roll into this yet. Have we introduced enough, or do we need more introductions?
I mean, this is Carmella.
Yeah.
That's Stanley. I don't know if he's exactly in frame totally, but he's a big boy.
He's a big boy.
And then Chloe's back there.
He was full spread today when we walked into the studio.
Actually, you know what? Hold on.
Take two.
An introduction is actually a really good idea because I feel like you mentioned to somebody that you were headed to the Caddick.
I am headed to the Caddick. That is the studio.
This is officially this is my rig.
Yeah.
This is my dojo. This is where it's actually officially known as the Dobby Waberson Memorial Caddick because of Dobby's passing.
Sure.
We have dedicated it truly to him. This is a
Indeed.
little shrine.
Yeah.
We produce a lot of shows here. I think everybody should check out Baby Mermaid Productions if you already haven't. If you're watching this, you're probably already here. Check out some of the other videos that we produce here in the Caddick.
Yeah, please do.
The Caddick is just a place it's a mini cat sanctuary where I get to. People say a lot of times that they're people pleasers. Dom has officially dubbed me the kitty pleaser, which you know what I'm saying. That's a double entendre. She did me. But yes, yeah. So in final introduction. This is the Caddick.
It is the Caddick.
I'm Pat. That's Jeff.
Right. Well, we're getting down to brass tacks then.
Now we can get into the topic.
So, anyway, topic time.
Ooh, nice.
That was San Pellegrino.
Oh yeah.
Sponsors of this episode.
Yeah. San Pellegrino. That's damn refreshing, you motherfuckers. I think we didn't run that past them.
But I mean, since they're sponsoring the episode, yeah.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
Refreshing every time.
Yeah, buddy.
So anyway, topic. You were talking about you were out all week, with the exception of one day of training.
Yeah.
But the question we get, I think frequently, and we ask each other and we ask ourselves this question. What are the keys? What are the secrets to longevity in jiu-jitsu? Because, as we all know, for those of us that are practitioners, it takes a very long time to get a mastery level of jiu-jitsu, and for most of us that means our black belt.
Yeah.
But not everybody. I mean,
right.
Some people feel like there is obviously there are levels to that mastery that exist prior to your black belt, and levels of mastery that exist after your black belt.
Right.
But for the most part, this is an unusual sport, if I put it in the sport category.
Okay.
Or athletic endeavor.
Yeah.
In that for a lot of the folks that stick around, this is something that just is part of their lifestyle too. It's kind of it's not just the thing that they do. It's not like pickup basketball.
It's not like a hobby.
Or racquetball.
It's not just their exercise, right? Yeah.
Right. And I'm not saying that there's not competitive parts of that as well, but even in its most casual fashion, for most people, there's a competitive nature to jiu-jitsu that just like draws you in and makes you want to keep doing it more and more and more. I think one of the things I said when I got my black belt was that jiu-jitsu has a unique ability to make you want to quit and keep doing it all at the same time.
Yeah. So it's funny that you were saying you were speculating if you should put it in a sports category or not. I argue that it's more of in the arts category.
Right.
Because of that exact reason.
Sure.
There's a lot of parallels to stand-up comedy and jiu-jitsu.
Sure.
You love it, but it keeps beating the fuck out of you. And you keep going back. It's truly the most healthy abusive relationship you can have is with your arts.
Yeah, I can get down with that. Yeah,
you know what
I mean it is fair to say that. I think it's and it's weird. It's like one of those things that depending on what angle you're looking at it, it just changes. It changes the dynamic and the perspective of it. And you're very right, Pat. Like jiu-jitsu, much like other art is relentless, and also though the fact that these types of folks stick around, even though they're taking a beating, sometimes literal. But most of the time, what we're really talking about is not the physical abuse that you take from jiu-jitsu, but the mental abuse.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
The psychological abuse.
Yeah.
And that is like this feeling of worthiness or whether you're good enough to be there. But it also speaks to the type of people that stick around in this art. We're all kind of the same in that respect. We kind of like it.
Yeah, I was going to say the reason
the beating. I mean,
yeah, I was going to say that. Well, that's the part.
We all like jiu-jitsu, but
most art is subjective. So it's all about your how much you want to return or your perspective of how you did that day.
Sure.
Whether it's good or bad, it just means you want to improve or you want to better yourself.
Right.
But I don't know. I feel like we're all our biggest critics, but
for sure our biggest critics. I mean, and it's weird because I think for a lot of the people that don't criticize themselves in their jiu-jitsu, who are just like, no, I'm really good, and that's they don't last very long.
No.
And I don't know if it's because they find that they just can't live the lie anymore, or or like it just becomes boring to them that they move on to it. But I think that if you're getting bored in jiu-jitsu, it's because you're not trying hard enough.
Right. Yeah.
Like everything else in the world, what you give is what you get. So if what you put into it is what you get back. But there's this impending sense that if you're not training every day, you're missing out.
Yes.
And for a lot of people, especially like on a casual level, which by the way, most practitioners are at a casual practitioner level or casual training schedule regime. A lot of you guys have jobs and kids and other responsibilities and yourself, which is an important. Like, we're going to get to that because that's an important part of being a human in jiu-jitsu.
Whether it's an art or a sport,
right. That other things happen and you just can't make it to the gym, or you just don't fucking want to.
Yeah, that's
a big one.
I embraced that aspect of jiu-jitsu a lot this week. Where it was like I was up. By the way, I was up at 4:43 this morning.
Sure.
Woke up. Drank some water, went to the bathroom. Sorry, but I did.
Don't apologize.
I was just like,
apologize to me.
I was sitting there and I was like, man, I'm fucking tired. And it's not even like I'm tired, I want to go back to bed. I'm just tired, and I don't feel like, I felt drained this week. And,
sure.
And usually I can kind of overcome that, but again, it was like, it's just super hot this week.
It is super hot in Pennsylvania. Yeah,
it was nuts. Like as far as like work, like schedule wise, it's just all over the place.
4th of July fell on a Tuesday, and it like screwed everything up for everybody. I'm glad to know I wasn't the only one that felt like I was like, "What the hell happened?
What is going on?" By Wednesday, I told Dom, I go, "What is today?"
Yeah,
I don't know what today is.
Right?
Is it Saturday? So I kind of felt like, but I ultimately I think and I learned this early on, or actually I'd say later into my white belt career. As the jiu-jitsu. Now it's a career, but like I where that self-care of like, you kind of just have to like take it easy for a little bit, because
sometimes you do. Yeah.
No matter what, like even if whether you're doing any kind of improvement you're doing, you need that time to like heal and kind of notice it, like see it.
I agree. Yeah.
And that's usually when I notice, when I feel the most confident in my jiu-jitsu is coming back from one of those breaks.
Sure.
Coming back from a vacation, or where I've been like, oh man, I really want to do it, and I feel good.
Right.
I feel good and ready to do it. And that's why I feel, that's why another reason I compared it to the arts, because if I'm just as a comedian only doing stand-up comedy, that's the only thing I'm doing. That's the only way I socialize. The only food I'm eating is comedy clubs. It's going to affect you and your material.
Yeah.
And after a while, you may be really good at this thing, but you're also, that's it. You're not going to be.
Sure.
And I'd rather be more things.
Sure. Yeah.
So, but you're right. Yeah. I love just that, the fact that I thought of that from this topic of thinking about of longevity in jiu-jitsu, because it's very much the same thing I feel about. I get burnt out in stand-up.
Sure, of course, we all do. And I had a creative director when I was very young back in the day, and it was interesting because I had this idea that in order to be a good creative, or maybe it was just like being a good employee or whatever, that I mean, I was at my desk the whole time, like grinding away at work. I'm just going to show them how good I am. And one of the things that he told me was like, it's really important for you to get up from your desk and go out into the world, because it allows you to forget about the problem you're trying to solve. And he said magically, while you're influenced by other things around you, whether you're just taking a break or a walk, or you're going out for lunch, or even if you're just going out to do some creative on something else, like how a solution will come to you just out of nowhere,
and a solution to something else.
Right.
It's like a third party thing. Completely different. Yeah.
And I've followed this as much as I possibly can for the rest of my career, and it works miracles.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing is said for jiu-jitsu. If you're and you just mentioned comedy, if you feel like you're getting burnt out, or you're just phoning it in, right? You're just showing up because you want to tick off the box that said you attended class that day. Yeah. Maybe it's time to take a break. And it's interesting because that's one of the keys to the longevity in jiu-jitsu. I mean, there are a lot of things. We'll get into some other topics here today about that. But one of the first ones is taking care of yourself mentally, taking care of yourselves psychologically. Like, you will run into barriers and problems, and there's ebbs and flows to jiu-jitsu. Everybody knows this. Like, you're on a high and everything's rocking, and then the next week you can't pull off the most simple of sweeps or whatever.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
I love catching people on those days. I feel like I had a day like that where I was like, man, I did pretty good against this person. I went in pretty good against this person. Yeah. And then both those people later on were like, man, I'm just not feeling it this week. And I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, I know, right? I was hoping that was your A game.
I was like, man, I'm doing great against everybody except for you, Pat. I don't understand it.
I think it's true, but there's that's a time where you have to you sort of take a step back and take a break, and it's okay to take a break. It is, and I think because what follows is this guilt. And I'll tell you a story. Is that my son, my youngest son, who's 14, just started coming with me to class in the mornings for the summer while he's on summer break.
Oh, nice. Hell yeah.
Yeah, so this week he came in on Monday and Wednesday, and this is his first foray into 6 a.m., like getting up early, and he's pretty good about getting up early. I told him, listen, I'm not waking you up, so you set your alarm and you get up and you're either ready to go or you're not. And if you're not, then I just assume that you're tired and you want to go back to sleep, which is totally fine. Was not like...
That's awesome. That's a really good way to do that.
And he got up Monday. he had a long day Monday. Tuesday they were off. Had a pretty big day. Like Tuesday, we actually ended up doing a lot of like chores and work around the house and stuff. And then Wednesday he got up again. I was like, man, you're an animal. And then today he didn't get up.
Nice. Yeah.
He didn't get up, and I kid you not, guys. When I got home this morning, he was practically in tears. He was so disappointed that he didn't wake up. Yeah. Now he didn't cry, but he was really upset, and he felt guilty about it. And it was really important for me to tell him, like, don't feel bad at all. There's another class.
Yeah.
Well, he'll go with me tomorrow for a private, and then there's another class on Monday. And that's why I want to tell you guys, there's another class next week.
Right.
There's another week of training.
You kind of got the inside lane.
That's right. Yeah.
He lives in your house.
Yeah, it's true too, right? I'm like, jiu-jitsu anytime you want, man.
If you wake up if you get up from a dead sleep and you go into your father's room and you go, Dad, could you show me an armbar? He'd be like, with one eye open, you got it.
You're right. You almost certainly will get.
You wait for.
You're almost guaranteed to get jiu-jitsu if you wake me up in the middle of the night. So, but yeah, no, but it was really important for him to know that, like, it's okay. Like, for whatever reason, he even admitted that his alarm went off, just like you did this morning. Mm-hmm. His alarm went off, and he went back to sleep, and he slept.
Yeah.
And that was your body saying, hey, man, you need some rest.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because other days, I wake up, even if I'm tired, that's the thing. I'll wake up and be like, but I'm up. And I get my phone, and I go into the thing, I make coffee. Usually I start out with a big jar of water. That gets everything going.
Oh, right, for sure.
Big jar of cold water.
Yeah.
Slug that. Then I know I'm hydrated. I'm awake, and usually I'm running to the bathroom. So it's like, it's perfect.
Yeah, it works out pretty good.
So,
and it's weird because I think we've institutionalized this idea, especially from a work culture and a work perspective, that you have to get up at a certain time and do this thing. And don't get me wrong, like I believe in like taking responsibility for yourself in your work and making sure that when you say you're going to be somewhere, you're going to be there, right? But we also put this unreasonable expectation on people because we know full well that nobody's going to working 8 hours a day or 10 hours a day straight. They're fucking off most of that time,
right,
or trying to avoid work.
Yeah.
But we don't make any consideration for that. Also, we don't make that consideration for like that day that, man, you're just like, you know that everything you're going to touch turns to shit.
Yeah.
And you should really just go back to bed.
Yeah. I hate those.
You know?
I love avoiding those days.
Yeah. Right. And we should be making time for those things. And that way, like, because I'd much rather you come in and kick ass on Wednesday if Tuesday you were like, boss, I'm gonna fuck this up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And that was the thing. I had a great day Tuesday. That was the holiday. I mean, we didn't have to. The only thing I had to do later on that day was do comedy. I did comedy in the backyard.
Yeah,
that was fun.
Right.
But like, that's the only thing I had to do. I didn't have any other. But I don't think I realized how busy the rest of my week was going to feel.
Sure,
and I was kind of like, oh man.
But see, that's what I mean.
It all piled on, and you're right. I did feel guilty.
Yeah, you feel guilty, right?
Yeah.
Instead of enjoying that time and then using that as like a source of inspiration or regeneration or whatever. Because like I refer to it like this, guys. I always tell my wife the same thing. Is like, I have to reset my batteries, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have to recharge my batteries, and if I don't, like, I know that I'm working on a depleted battery for the week, and things are not going to go the way that I want them to.
Right.
And so it's important for each of you to take that time to rest, whether you're actually literally sleeping or, look, maybe you got up early on, if we're talking about 6 a.m., maybe you got up early and you're just like, I just need to recharge my batteries, and you take that time for yourself to drink some coffee, get caught up on some reading that you wanted to do, or go back to bed. It's totally fine. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah. Isn't there a thing called law of diminishing return?
Oh yeah.
Isn't there something?
I don't know
like
if there's
that?
a law, but it is. Yeah, there is a diminishing return if you keep pushing.
Yeah. So like I try to remind Dom of that a lot of times with working of at a certain point the work you're doing is not even good work.
Right.
So you gotta stop.
Right.
You gotta stop and just rest.
That's exactly right. Yeah, I mean, these are lessons that I learn the hard way all the time. But the same is true, and that's not to say that when you're at the academy and you're training. No, I want you to be out of your comfort zone. I want you to try and explore and push and see if like what works, what doesn't work. Can you make your cardio better? Can you make your muscle endurance better? Can you make your cognition better? Like these are things I want you to do. But when you're out of it and you're ready to take a rest. Take a rest. Hey, speaking of which, I know this isn't our turntable section, but are you a Cobra Man fan? Have you ever heard of
Cobra Man? No, what is that?
So like, they're going to have to be on my turntable.
Okay, yeah.
Great band. But there's a song that they just put out on an EP here a couple of months ago, and the song's called "Take a Rest." It's a great song, and it's literally about taking a rest.
Oh, it's just like it's right in the name.
Yeah, it's right in the name, and it's so funny because and every time I hear that song, it's like almost a reminder that you're like, hey, it's actually good for you to slow down and take a rest. But in longevity in jiu-jitsu, outside of like the psychological component, which we just discussed, is also like how else we take care of our bodies. And I think that's a relationship between where you are in life, your age, your athletic ability, your stamina, all those important things, and jiu-jitsu, right? And some of those things, because one of the worst parts about jiu-jitsu, which is probably the case for everything else, is how you compare yourself to others.
Yep.
And you're looking at somebody else that is maybe even your own age, and they're an animal. They can't be beat. They're like, they're jacked. They eat right. They do everything right. They show up to class 6 days a week. Training. Like a madman. And you're like, man, why can't I can do that?
Yeah.
But the thing is that you don't look at your life and realize that no, actually I can't do. Like I literally don't have the time to do the things.
You don't see the other parts they're doing.
That's right. That's right. That's right. But they probably don't have the same responsibilities that you have.
Right.
And that's okay. So this is admirable for you guys out there that are training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu 3, 5, 6, or even 7 times a week, and you guys have jobs and families and other responsibilities, and you're managing all that stuff. Kudos to you.
Yeah,
that's hard work. You need a rest.
It's a lot of plate spinning.
That's a lot of plate spinning. And so don't compare yourself to others, especially people that are younger than you or whatever. Right. I mean. And I think this happens a lot with the belt system, because you can have a room full of purple belts, and at the top of that heap is like a 32-year-old, not married, or just married, no kids, and they work their job and they're great at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And you're down here at the end and you're 42 and you just got your purple belt and you've got 4 kids and and 2.5 jobs and and you're like, why am I not as good?
Like, why is he so good?
Why is he so good at jiu-jitsu? It's like, we're not the same. And you're
he's
like,
always so nice looking and
I know, right. Oh yeah, don't get me wrong. That guy at the end, he's also dashingly good looking. Yeah,
he's got all the right braces, all the braces you can't afford.
That's right. And he, drives a nicer car than you and so on and so forth, right? But the reality is that you guys are the same in a lot of ways, and you just don't recognize it. You only see what the disparities are. And trust me when I tell you, at almost 46, guys, it all works out in the wash.
Hey,
it just does.
I feel like there's also something to be said about taking time off and like healing injuries that you don't even realize you have.
I think we're gonna dive into this next, and we're talking about the physical end of things, and this is definitely a do as I say, not as I do type of scenario.
Yeah.
And I actually, we were talking about this, and I don't know if I was talking with you about it or not, but just recently I made a comment that said that if I had known, again, working in retrospect, if I knew now what I knew, or if I knew then what I know now, I would have done things differently. I would have gone to the doctor. I had a torn meniscus. I knew it tore, and this is like almost 5 years ago, and it was in a lockdown, and I tried to. It was my fault. It wasn't even the guy who was rolling with fault. I was in a lockdown, and I thought I could just plow my knee through it, and it tore. And I knew it tore, and I continued to train that day, and I ignored it. I ignored it, guys, and I just kept going. And now I have a chronic knee injury. Like, it's just bad. The knee's bad. It works most of the time, and I'm grateful for that, and I'm grateful for my conditioning and health and strength as it is, and so I'm not complaining, because a lot of these things are my choices. But the further down the road I got, the more I was like, I'm not going to the doctors. Yeah. And all I would have had to do was say, that next week, I'm going to go to the doctors, figure out what's wrong, what do I need to do, because at that point, it probably wouldn't have required surgery. It probably would have been like,
take a week off or
do some PT,
or do these exercises.
Yeah, even if it would have been 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Right? I could have still been in the gym, still learning, still practicing jiu-jitsu, but rolling I would have had to been more careful or whatever. There's a lot of different ways I could have looked at that. And instead I just completely ignored it and said, fuck it, like I don't need to go to the doctors.
And now it's at a point where the point of not even no return, but also like, yeah, surgery
could
help.
You're right, maybe, but maybe not, right? Like, and that you're exactly right. So now I'm at a point where like there's just not an option that's going to put that knee back to the way that it was,
Right.
Ever.
Right.
And these things happen a lot, and I know because I'm the worst about it. I something happens, an injury occurs, and I'm like, how am I going to fix this injury tonight so that tomorrow I can go train again?
Yeah.
Because I can't be out of class.
Right.
Well, that's dumb.
Maybe it's a low key superpower. I have the ability to visualize the worst case scenario in every scenario. Every situation I'm in, it's like, how could this be the worst fucking thing in the world?
Yeah, I'm not too far from you, and so is my mom.
It used to be it used to be like just a very, very healthy fear of everything. But then it kind of turned into, now it's just a suspicion. And it's the two main ones. We talked about sinkholes in the past, but also structural integrity.
Okay, just in general then. You have a structural integrity issue.
It's like I get like with where most people experience it with like a fear of heights, or they kind of get vertigo, like dizzy, or I get that where I'm just like, oh boy, that could just fall. That's just look at it.
It's like almost a natural or a phobia.
Yeah. It's a weird thing. I recognize that.
Sure.
But I guess I don't know. I feel like the same idea with an injury or anything like that. If my knee like is a little tight in the morning,
sure,
I'm like, this could, if I go in there and it just pops, and then I'm going, people are carrying, especially if it's a day at the old gym, at the Lemoyne gym.
Yeah.
And I'm like, people are going to have to carry me down the stairs. I've literally had these visions of like, if this goes on, I'm going to have to get carried down the stairs. I'm going to have to have somebody drive me to the hospital.
Right.
Because like my wife's at fucking work right now.
Yeah.
Or something, you know what I mean? Like so I kind of go like, you know what? I'm just going to stay home.
Right.
So maybe that's paranoia, but it's sometimes
to a degree, maybe.
It's sometimes to my benefit.
Right. I was gonna say some of it's just a healthy paranoia.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then again, though, that like goes back, guys, to what we're saying is like some days you just need a rest, and if you do, so what? Like that's fine, because remember, you guys, like these are choices that you're making. You're making a choice to come in and train with me, and trust me, and I tell you this, like if I don't say it enough, I will say it here on the podcast.
I love you.
I do love you. But I'm truly, truly grateful that any of you have decided to take your free time and spend it with me.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous and amazing, So please, if you wake up in the morning and you're like, shit, my balls hurt.
Yeah.
Stay home.
Yeah. Don't go train with hurt balls, ladies.
Yeah.
I mean, stay home.
Stay home.
Stay home and ice your balls.
And then the next day, go to train.
Bring your balls to class. Yeah. And tell Jeff why you didn't come in. Because he'll appreciate it.
I will.
Honestly, if you're just, man, I woke up the other day, my fucking balls hurt.
Yeah, I was like, yo, yeah, stay home.
Yeah. Jeff would be like, yeah, if they're itchy, if they smell, if they hurt, keep them home.
Keep them home, please. I don't want them on my mat.
Yeah. I had a really hard time during the pandemic of taking time off, forced time off.
Sure.
Anytime forced time off. So that's the key to, if you have a healthy relationship with taking time off and pacing yourself for longevity, then you will, that is like a self-fulfilling prophecy. You will have longevity in jiu-jitsu.
I think so, yeah.
And you will get to choose the breaks you take and not take the breaks you don't get to choose.
That's right. That's right.
Like,
when you have no good. Well said. Well said. And I think that is again very, very true in that like no matter how quickly you accomplish whatever feat or goal or milestone in jiu-jitsu, there's always more jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
So like the point is, guys, is I always say this is like, please don't be in a hurry for your belt or the next level or all this other stuff. It will happen.
Right.
As you train, you acquire more skill, you become more skilled of a practitioner, and you will achieve those milestones.
Right.
We don't hold people back for any reason. And then after that's done, the next day, there's more training.
Right.
There's more jiu-jitsu.
Sometimes you have to let jiu-jitsu go.
Right.
And so it can come back. To you. There's always going to be jiu-jitsu. I love that. I like that. There's always going to be jiu-jitsu.
And I have one other story for you. And how are we doing on this topic? Are we doing okay time-wise?
Oh, yeah, we're really
okay, great. So I know people who have taken years off of jiu-jitsu. Years.
Wow.
where they, for one reason or another, life circumstances, children, job change, psychological change, like just like I'm burnt out and I'm done, have taken time off for more than 5 years, to have taken off jiu-jitsu and came back. And the reason for that is because, you know, and I think it was, and I, again, if you have the right type of gym, I don't care how long you've been gone. If you're ready to come back to jiu-jitsu, right? Yeah. Because here's the thing, jiu-jitsu's always here. Even that like time span where you feel like, okay, I was at a certain level of jiu-jitsu, you know, this many years ago. Now I'm worried that when I come back, everyone will think I'm a schlub or I'm a hack. Maybe you were a purple belt, you know, when you left, and you come back and you're like, no one's going to think I'm a purple belt. Fuck them. No, who cares? Yeah. Come back in with you've earned your, first of all, wear your purple belt, because I get that question a lot. Can I wear my purple belt? Did you earn your purple belt?
Yeah, then, that's from that academy.
Yeah. Or no, right? well, no, it doesn't matter. Even if you got your purple belt from another academy, if you earned your purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and you took a lot of time off or any time off and you come back, and even if you're a new student to our academy, but you had already earned your purple belt. It's kind of
the honor system no matter what.
Yeah, wear your purple belt.
That would be pretty funny if they're like, hey, I just started, I took 5 years off, but I am a purple belt. And Jeff was just like,
I don't think so.
You look like a blue belt. 3 stripes, but we're going to start you at 3 stripes.
Yeah, right. No, I mean, I can tell, you know, I can tell the difference between your skill acquisition or your understanding of jiu-jitsu and your ability to execute it. So if your timing is off, I can tell if your timing's off, but I can tell that you know what I'm doing, right?
Okay,
so in which case I'm like, yeah, you're a purple belt, like legit. You're just timing is off, you know.
Jeff's the belt detector.
I'm pretty good. I'm a pretty good belt detector.
Hell yeah.
And so like in that respect, like again, in longevity in jiu-jitsu, yeah, like there can be a huge span of time in there, and you can still come back and you can still accomplish your goals and still get your black belt and still be really good at jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
I know people like this personally who I'm very good friends with and love dearly, and they are some of the best jiu-jitsu practitioners I've ever met. And there was a point in their life in which there was an emptiness that you know was left by, you know, the void of jiu-jitsu. They had to leave it for one reason or another. It doesn't matter. And then they came back to it. That's longevity in jiu-jitsu as well. That means during that time period, there was probably a moment in which they were like, fuck it, right? Like, I don't need jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
But guess what? It started to creep back in. That's right. Yeah. They're still watching, still thinking about it. And maybe they never even stopped thinking about it.
There's a thing where there's, if she just grabs his wrist.
Right. I used to do that shit, you know. Like, let that stuff be the motivator that gets you back on the mat and keeps you going and moving forward. So no matter how much time you guys take off, that's longevity in jiu-jitsu. And again, everybody understands too that like there are breaks in your jiu-jitsu career. For a lot of people, there are legitimately long breaks or long periods of time. Some people can't train during the summer for whatever reason, or the winter. It
might be me. I had a hard time this week.
Yeah. You know, and it's just the way that it works. You know, these two are like just exactly the same position.
I know, she stretched and flipped this way, and then he stretched and flipped that way. They're the Gravies, dude.
Yeah, I mean, even for those, at the same time, there's a parallel between that person and the person who's also rehabbing an injury.
Yeah.
You know, you guys are both off jiu-jitsu for both of them are legitimate reasons, and that's the other thing too, is like these are all legitimate reasons.
Yeah.
If you're taking care of your family, you're not injured, and you're doing really well, but you had to make that a priority in your life. Well, good on you, man.
Yeah, like you said, summer could be hard for kids with people with kids, stuff like that.
Yeah,
like
got a lot going on.
Yeah,
like I get it. Like that, and especially in those scenarios, like babies don't keep, man. They grow up quick. So like take that time.
Babies don't keep.
Yeah, they don't. So, they go bad real quick.
I was just gonna say, what do you mean they go bad? Yeah, they get pretty rotten.
Yeah, they get pretty rotten. So you don't want to miss those opportunities in this time, and I get that. Like that's important because. Again, going full circle on this is that when you get back, jiu-jitsu will be here.
Yeah, it's right here.
Right.
Yeah, all of us are waiting like at the end of Titanic.
Yeah.
We go, and then we all try to fucking kill you.
Yeah. Right.
At the same time.
I died, you lived. Yeah. So yeah, we'll get that, and so physically you need to take care of yourself. Psychologically, you need to take care of yourself. And I think too that like in terms of longevity in jiu-jitsu, there's another piece of this puzzle that we don't really talk about a lot, and that is your relationship with your training partners and your professors.
Okay.
And longevity in jiu-jitsu doesn't mean you have to be best friends with everybody in the gym or even best friends with your professor or any of that. That's like a personal choice that everybody makes, right? So in an academy, like in our academy, like for our 3 gyms, I mean, we have over 1,000 students. Like, it's impossible for me to know everybody personally.
Right.
It's just I just don't have. I'm not with you that time period. But I know many of you, like, just in terms of, you know, casually and so on and so forth. The key, though, what I mean in terms of, like, relationships is that again, what you give is what you get in that environment. And if you come in with a good attitude and your focus is on, like, making this as a pleasant training experience for yourself and your training partner, I guarantee you that will extend the life of your jiu-jitsu career exponentially.
That's always a good feeling.
Yeah. By that same token, if you're the guy or the gal that's like, fuck all these people, I need to be the best purple belt or best blue belt in my academy, and I will trash everybody to prove that I'm that good.
Yeah.
You're not going to last.
Yeah.
You're just not.
Yeah. If you injure your partners, if you always have that level that's like, come on, man, what are we doing? What are we doing? This isn't comp class. We're not.
Yeah, nobody wants to train with you, right?
Yeah.
And if nobody wants to train with you, then you're not going to get better at jiu-jitsu.
Stinky. If you smell.
If you just don't bathe, that's a good.
Bro, come on. I know we all are sweating and we all have there's a level of BO. Yes.
Yeah.
But like,
of course,
we know a difference between sweat BO and also I haven't showered in a couple days. Right. I had a really long night last night. Stuff like that. We're not here to judge. We're just here to ask you kindly, wash your ass.
Please wash your ass. Yeah.
I do it.
Yeah.
I try.
Yeah. I mean, so like, come in with a good attitude, and because one of the things that I think a lot of us appreciate about jiu-jitsu is that when we come in for class, it's really difficult to think about all the other problems I have, right? I have to like just focus on jiu-jitsu, and it has this marvelous way. I'm not saying your problems go away, because they don't. They're still there when you leave. But for that hour or for that 2 hours that you're there training, like, you don't think about that shit at all.
Right. And that's why jiu-jitsu isn't the answer a lot of times. A lot of people feel it is, and we talked about that in the past episode.
Like the mental health episode, right.
But that's why, because it's not here for you. It doesn't solve those things. It just sets them aside. And much like jiu-jitsu, they're waiting for you. All your problems are waiting for you at the end of jiu-jitsu.
Right. And come in with that open mind and attitude, and the amount of time that you're going to be able to spend in jiu-jitsu without burning out, without other people hating you, and so on and so forth. And that includes when you leave the gym, because we have this society, right, or this culture and this community that connects with each other outside of the gym, whether it's on the internet or and public outings, and we get together for parties, group chats, and so on and so forth. Remember that that's part of it too. So if you get out there and you're like, you're whatever average person in the gym, and then you get on the internet and you start talking shit all the time because you think you're funny, or like, just remember, like, that comes at a cost, okay? And that comes at a cost to your jiu-jitsu career. Right?
I've taken a lot of damage from my omoplata talk, but I don't care. That's me. That's the only one I talk shit about.
Yeah.
I'm allowed to do that.
It's okay. You are allowed to do it, right?
Because guess what? It's fucking impossible. I got a lot of talk. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are like, all right, Pat, shut the fuck up about that. But
Pat can't be almost
shut me up. That's it. Shoulders are right here, baby.
They're waiting.
So yeah,
even if you don't come in to train,
yeah, they're here.
Right.
Not there.
I'm in the paddock right now.
Come to the fucking paddock and say that shit. Pussies. You locked the door when you came up, right?
I did not.
Hold on.
So I think, like, but it's true to say that, like, just keep in mind that, like, your relationship, the lifestyle of jiu-jitsu extends beyond the mats, and we really want that to be the case. Like, I want to help, like, people understand more about themselves and what they're capable of, and very much in a positive way, so that you can take that out into the world and apply it to your thinking in your life.
Right.
Because I mean, how many people start jiu-jitsu, get into it, and realize that the rest of their lives are just like jiu-jitsu, but they never say they're never in, like, their given profession, they're like, jiu-jitsu is a lot like my profession. No, they always say their profession is like jiu-jitsu, because jiu-jitsu has this thing, like, it's like our emotional core,
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Dom watches and listens to the show. Shout out to my wife. Hey, how's it going, babe? She watches and listens to the show, and she doesn't give two shits about jiu-jitsu.
Right, neither does my wife necessarily. I mean, she gives a lot of shits, just not in the same way.
But she gets stuff out of this, and that she can
cool.
adapt to her professional career as well. So that's cool.
Yeah, that's cool. I dig that, man.
Yeah, not a lot of stuff I say, a lot of stuff that you say.
Right. Well, not surprisingly, like if my wife was listening to this podcast, which she's not, but if she was, she'd be like, that Pat, he's really funny.
Boy, oh boy.
Yeah, I'm like,
what a charming dude.
Yeah, what a charming guy. I'm like, well, didn't you listen to me at all? She's like,
I was saying a lot of wise stuff.
I listened to you enough.
Yeah, but Pat said that thing about the shoulders. That was funny. Remember when what's an omoplata? And you're like, I've been saying it for fucking years. God, you never fucking listen to me.
So anyway, take care of yourselves.
All right, longevity and jiu-jitsu. So, just in closing, I did want to ask you real quick because you said those were so these are all acceptable reasons to take a
hiatus, right?
Right. What is an unacceptable reason?
Quitting, just quitting. I absolutely despise quitters.
Thinking you're better than jiu-jitsu.
Well, maybe it's that, but whatever. Like just giving up.
Okay.
I just don't like giving up.
You do love it, but you give up.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah. You're like, oh, I really did enjoy that time, but yeah, I think maybe I would, or I don't know, because I don't have that mindset, so I don't know what it is. But people quit.
No, that's a good answer. I think that's even a good answer too. Just people that quit, or even just not knowing. Like there's no acceptable.
There's no acceptable reason to quit for this. And you quit, and maybe you gave up on yourself, or maybe, and most people won't just say like, for those people that are like, it's just not for me, totally acceptable.
Yeah, right. That's what I meant.
Totally awesome. Like because then hopefully you got something out of jiu-jitsu that you can take with you into the world, and that's cool, and you can speak highly of it. But for the people that have got it, that they're like, this is like, I really enjoy this and I really love it, but they quit.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's almost like there's a difference between quitting and a hiatus. For those that quit, they just sort of disappear. Like they just stop, and then it's like, and then they're the people that you run into years later, like, oh, I used to do jiu-jitsu, but they kind of like talk down, like, oh, when I was an amateur, I used to do jiu-jitsu too. And I'm like, motherfucker, I still do jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Right.
Why'd you quit?
Right. Why'd you quit? Right. And I could, and they don't ever have a reasonable excuse why they quit. I think most of that becomes a play against their own ego. Like they weren't progressing as quickly as they thought they were going to, or they didn't get recognized in a way that they thought they were going to.
Yeah.
And it really depleted their energy. It like destroyed their ego, and they felt like then they started working out of a deficit, which we all do. We all have that ebb and flow. And that's why I admire so many of you motherfuckers, because even at your lowest, even at our worst, we're better than most, right? And we come back up, right? And I really admire that, especially when you're struggling. And maybe that's because that's what I mean. So for those that hit that low and they're just like, fuck it, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, that's not a reason to quit.
You gotta work through it.
Yeah, work through it, man. Because like, are you going to do that for the rest of your life? But probably yes.
Right, and this is more of a, I'm disappointed. I'm not angry. I'm disappointed because you're another one of those people that exist in this world.
Yeah, and I don't want to hang out with you in the gym, and I don't want to hang out with you outside the gym.
I don't want to stand behind you in line.
I don't even want. I don't even want to breathe the same air you breathe.
Right.
All right.
Stop breathing air.
Yeah.
Leave Jeff's air alone.
That's right. Leave my air alone. It's for
It's
for winners.
Piece of shit. Hell yeah.
Yeah. So there you go.
So I guess now we get into what's going on in the world of jiu-jitsu today.
Fuck. Okay, so in the world of jiu-jitsu today, which, by the way, typically means yesterday, because we're so far behind on everything. When we talk about these topics, we also were on a very long hiatus for a year, so we have a lot to get caught up on. But something that was interesting that occurred, it occurred some time ago, but came up in the news recently, and I just want to make sure that I get his name correctly, so excuse me while I look this up.
Yeah, sometimes with the world of jiu-jitsu today, it's not necessarily... We're not a news show. This is a
it's not right.
arts and sports show.
Yeah, if you're looking for like the like most up to date information, read the internet.
Yeah, you guys heard of this guy Gordon Ryan?
This is like the third. So this is episode 3 of season 3, and this is the third time we've brought up Gordon Ryan.
The world of Gordon Ryan today. Well, first two we were just body shaming him. So this one, I feel like we're growing. Right?
We are growing because we're not going to talk about Gordon at all, except for the time we just talked about Gordon again.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, the case of Jack Greener. So for those of you that aren't familiar, and many of you are, if you're a jiu-jitsu practitioner or a fan of jiu-jitsu, know that a guy by the name of Jack Greener, who is technically a white belt in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, got put in a position by his BJJ instructor in which his head was shoved into the mat. It was a transition from back in an attempt for a sweep or submission, and it broke his neck and made him a quadriplegic. Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah. And so
white belt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, so there's some debate on whether or not he's a white belt.
Or whoever
he's
he
a
was,
white belt.
yeah.
So, and I think it's important because here's the thing. So what happened then is that this individual, Jack, had, which is, by the way, super, super tragic. Like, I wish that not upon anybody.
I don't even like hearing about it because I did not know that was a possibility.
Yeah. I mean, and so though, like, freak accidents happen all the time, right? So like, it's just one of those things. It's not common with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It'll be completely sensationalized and it has been already, from the extent that like, oh, I didn't know that you could make someone a quadriplegic, but motherfucker, if I'm choking you with a rear naked choke, I can kill you. I can kill you.
Yeah, most of jiu-jitsu is about breaking or dislocating joints and arms,
right,
and or cutting off the blood flow to your brain.
Right. So I mean,
it's all pretty serious.
Yeah, you tap, and it is all pretty serious.
Snapping
exactly.
Someone's ankle in half, or just twisting their knee the other direction. It's none of it's nice.
Yeah, none of it's nice. Right. And so and this is where I'm coming from this perspective, is that like when you tap, I let go.
Right.
But I don't have to. I mean, I can go to jail for killing you then, but you'll still be dead.
But would you? Manslaughter.
With second-degree murder?
You're on house arrest.
House arrest.
Get a cute little ankle bracelet.
Like community service.
Yeah. Cleaning up trash because you killed a guy.
I'm like, God, I've got this.
Yeah, but he didn't tap.
Yeah, he didn't tap.
That's Jeff's defense.
Yeah.
No, Your Honor, I'm defending myself today. He didn't tap. That's all. No further questions. Nobody's questioning you, sir.
The defense rests.
And you bow.
I bow.
I don't know how this works.
Your Majesty.
I'm so sorry. But you're right. I'm sorry.
So no. Again, tragic set of circumstances.
Yeah.
It was a move that was made. And whether you can consider this a high level move or not, it was executed in a way in which Jack, who was on the bottom, his coach was on his back, and he had transitioned by leaping off of his back into a roll, and that shoved his student Jack into the mat. His head folded over, and it snapped his neck.
Kind of like spiked him.
It spiked him a little bit, right? Yeah. And part of that is like how Jack reacted to that position. Again, it was a freak accident, unfortunate set of circumstances, became a quadriplegic. Jack sued the jiu-jitsu gym, okay, and won, by the way. Yeah.
Sign the waiver.
Well,
sorry.
Okay.
What's the waiver say? I'm getting ahead of it.
But wait, I don't know what their waiver says.
Okay.
But and I'm not here to like argue the legality of like, I mean, because obviously like in America you can sue anybody for any reason. So
right.
technically speaking, whether I agree or disagree with suing people, you're within your legal rights to do so. So
some parts of America you can get away with killing people too. So.
Right, that's true too.
If this was in Texas, I think we'd be okay.
Yeah, we'd be fine, right? So the big debate that came up about this was whether or not the gym should have been sued, and whether or not this Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt instructor, whose name I will keep out of the podcast, whether or not he was in the right or wrong. And boy, oh boy, what a stirring it was.
Yeah, that is very interesting.
I obviously do understand why Jack would sue the gym. Like, he's now a quadriplegic.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to be held responsible for this, right?
At least because that is a lot of money to maintain. You need care. There's like,
I mean, and you can't move your fucking limbs.
Quality of life.
Right, exactly. So from that perspective, like, I totally understand why. But here's the thing. Here's where I had to where I took a side and a stand on this. And it's not because I'm a gym owner and a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu instructor and a black belt. But because, like, first of all, as you had mentioned, there's likely a waiver that was signed, and that waiver frees the gym of responsibility, or should.
Yeah, depending on the wording, I guess.
Depending on the wording, and in this case, it did not. And frankly, I don't know how the waiver works in like a civil suit. In that, I don't know.
All the HBJJJ students are
like updating.
They're gonna be like, "Hey, we got a new waiver for you to sign."
Yeah, right. So,
including and not limited to paralysis.
Yeah, Brogan's listening to this episode right now, redoing the waiver.
Okay,
it's like, good. I need everybody to
also,
sign
if
the waiver.
Quit, I think we're gonna fine you.
So I think that, but here's the thing: is that the move that was done by the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu instructor was not illegal. It was not an illegal move.
Right.
Okay, so in the world of Jiu-Jitsu and in terms of most academies, they follow a certain set of rules and guidelines that are dictated by your rank and your experience level and how that applies to the people that you're rolling with. So, for instance, I cannot leg lock or knee bar. We'll use the knee bar as a great example. I cannot knee bar white belts, blue belts, and purple belts unless we're in a no-gi scenario.
Okay, yeah.
But if we're in a gi scenario, I can leg lock, and in this case, knee bar. I can knee bar brown and black belts. Okay, so I understand that as a rule of the gym. So I will not do those things to white, blue, or purple belts if we're in the gi.
Right.
If I do that, and I cause a catastrophic injury to one of my students as a result, I'm the responsible party.
Okay. All right.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's what that actual poster on the wall serves a purpose. It's not just like
no. We like to make fun of it, but the truth of the matter is that
we have fun.
we have fun. We have a poster for our listeners who aren't familiar with our academy. We have a poster on the wall that outlines, and this is from an IBJJF perspective, because that's the general rule set that we follow. And the only time that we break that is if we are preparing students for a competition in which the rule set is different.
Right.
But universally, in terms of the gym, this is the poster. These are the rules. If you don't like it, that's unfortunate. That's just the way we've set it, so that it can be consistent and everybody can train safely.
This is what you signed the waiver for. That's what that is applying to.
And don't get me wrong, guys. Like, there are plenty of things. There's plenty of rules that are set by the IBJJF that I don't agree with, that I personally think are stupid or don't agree with. However, those are the rules. And as a leadership group, we've all agreed that this will be the way in which we can manage a safe environment for everyone. And so, fuck yeah, I'm going to follow it, right?
So
even if I disagree with it, I'm still going to follow it.
So that move wouldn't have been on the board.
No, of course not.
Like the thing that he did would not. It's not that
absolutely
advanced.
Not. Here's what is missing from that entire scenario, and that is Jack's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu instructor is a human being as well. And we are practicing an imperfect art on each other. It's a combat art. It is designed to put you in uncomfortable situations,
right,
that will force you to quit.
Right.
Okay? It is submission wrestling. And in that process, whether he executed the move correctly or not is irrelevant.
Right.
Because, first of all, my biggest issue with this is that some sort of magical wisdom that's out in the world that says, or magical thinking that's out in the world that says that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts are perfect at everything.
We talked about that on the last one.
We did.
They can be bad at stuff too.
we just had a whole episode that you guys have probably already listened to about shit that I'm bad at.
Right.
And that was just like the tip of the iceberg, guys. There were after the episode, we were sitting around talking about all the other shit that we're terrible at. There's plenty of it.
He's terrible at paralyzing people. He can't do it.
I can't. I've tried.
Knock on wood.
I've tried so many times. The thing is that in the execution of that move, which was properly thought of at the time, doesn't take into account how my opponent reacts. I can't predict what you're going to do. I do the best I can to have complete control over the set of circumstances under which it happens. However, I have no way of knowing how you're going to react.
Right.
Thus the waiver. And so and I might get thrown off, and I might be hanging on, or might have an arm or a leg hooked into some place that it shouldn't be. Hell, I don't even know if your toes are going to get caught in my gi, and so when I roll out, I snap one of your toes accidentally. These things happen.
Yeah, I've broken toes on the mat plenty of times.
It's the most common injury in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu are fingers and toes.
Right. It happens.
And then followed by knees. It happens. And because again, those circumstances are unpredictable. We had a student recently that has now a fractured clavicle from hitting the ground on a takedown, and it wasn't her fault, and it wasn't the other guy's fault either necessarily. Although we can argue he went a little hard. Anyway, we'll save that for another episode.
But I think there's a but is there
it happens.
Yeah, is there an argument for after time having like arthritic hands because of grips?
Right, exactly. So look at we opening, and that I think that's one of the biggest concerns for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gyms is like, are we now opening the door to make it possible for people that have practiced Jiu-Jitsu like 10 years ago and now they can't get it up
PTSD.
because they have erectile dysfunction. They're like, it's all Harrisburg Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and judo's fault.
My confidence is shot because
Yeah.
Jeff fucking choked me.
Yeah, right. Now to Jack's injury, like this is catastrophic. He's quadriplegic, but that's not the point of I think the argument. The argument becomes about exactly what you just said. We've got people like, I broke my pinky finger, I'm suing you, and now we're caught up in litigation for, forever and like trying to manage, and it just closes the gym down. There's no way for you to be able to maintain that type of environment.
This case I don't think sets precedent, but it is.
Well, that's the worry.
It is,
right.
But it's more of a. It is a, like you said, it's an outrage. What is that? It's like 1,000,001 shot. It's like completely
freak accident.
It's a freak accident. Yeah,
it happens. And
it's the same if like somebody drove a car into the gym. Like it's like one of those things of like, what the fuck just happened? Like,
no, that guy I'm getting.
Yeah, that guy. You should have been. If I may, you should have parked back there.
That's right. Right.
Over there in the spots.
Yeah, it's like I think because I worry about you guys all the time when we're rolling and we're going like. I'm generally pretty good about recognizing that if I do this thing right now, this could result in an injury to you or to myself for that matter.
Right.
And I'm pretty good about backing off on that. But that doesn't mean that I wouldn't do it and not recognize that what I'm about to do is going to cause a problem for you necessarily. Because again, don't know how you're going to react to whatever things. And this is coming from a guy that's been training for 16 years. And like I've never catastrophically injured anybody. In fact, I make that's again one of the other arguments that I make is that I know very few catastrophic injuries that have ever occurred as a result of Jiu-Jitsu. I've never heard of anyone becoming a quadriplegic until now.
Right.
So what that tells me is like it's statistically very, 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 very low percentage, a chance of this happening. However, if I had created or something had happened to one of you guys as a result of a move that I did, I don't know if I'd ever forgive myself.
I thought the guy that you were talking about that got paraplegized was the quadriplegized. Oh, now I can't say it. Was the guy that recently got slammed into the competition. I thought the slam through the table.
Yeah.
That was all intent, and
right.
that guy should not be allowed to train anymore.
Sure.
That is somebody that I could say we should make.
Yeah.
That's the guy that should get the sentence that this guy is getting.
No, I agree. And so listen,
this guy that meant to break the back of another person should get the burn.
I agree, and so this is totally unrelated, but kind of connected in a different way. No, not your story. Your story is exactly like this was a purposeful injury, or this was a purposeful act that caused or could cause catastrophic injury, right? And it was illegal.
Yeah.
Okay. From the jiu-jitsu rules of the competition.
Took him off the mat.
Right. So it's right. Like, you have to reset right there.
Right.
So but one of the things like I will say like, and this is true of many Brazilian jiu-jitsu academies, but I'm going to brag about ours for a second.
Hell yeah.
Is that we had a student that was once with us that left the gym, started his own gym, and he got pinched for sex with a minor.
Oof.
And and then he came up on charges for it. It's public knowledge.
It was Jared Fogle, the Subway guy. That's right.
It wasn't Jared Fogle, but at any rate, our gym did a great job of making sure that all the other people in our purview in our academies and so on and so forth know who he is, so he does not come and train in their gym.
Right.
Okay. But you brought that on yourself, motherfucker.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you that like it is. Like that to me is like that's a jiu-jitsu community. Like that's us looking out for our people. It's looking out for our communities. It's looking at like don't let your people go train with this guy.
Yeah.
Don't let him into your academy.
Yeah.
Fuck him.
It's better for the brand, the jiu-jitsu brand in general.
Yeah.
Of being, we're all pretty laid back dudes. We like to compete. We love grappling.
And we all come from different backgrounds.
Dudes and chicks. I almost said broads. Sorry.
But then you said it anyway.
Yeah, but to say that I bettered myself.
I did. You
didn't say
Look
it.
at you growing
right?
all in
I'm
one
growing.
sentence. But we're also very good about if we teach you Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and we find out that you went out into the world and started a fight, we'll kick you out of the gym.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, if you're defending yourself, that's one thing. But if you, because we've had a student here not too long ago in the past that got suspended and then kicked out as a result of just kept getting into fights.
What a bummer.
Yeah, and it's not because they weren't like waving the 3G flag saying I'll kick everyone's ass,
Yeah.
but you were not a representation. We're teaching you how to fight.
It wasn't like a Cobra Kai thing.
Right.
Where you say you train?
Right.
Put on a bandana.
That's right. That's right. So I mean, like again, that's like looking out for each other, and we've digressed. But I mean, I think it was just something that happened that I think is really kind of interesting from the perspective of how the jiu-jitsu community reacted.
Yeah.
And also the fact that like it was close to being one of those things where like we almost like threw this gym and this professor under the bus and was just like, yeah, you know, this guy became a quadriplegic, we need to like rally around him.
Yeah.
Which we do.
Yes.
But we also need to rally around the fact that like and again, don't know all the details, so I might be speaking out of my ass. But if it was me, I would really hope that my jiu-jitsu community was supporting me as well, because I would have been devastated if anything happened to you guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, it's definitely the intent is the key, but also like, but also the fact that like that guy, like you say, we're this close to throwing them under the bus. We're this close to never even talking about this gym at all, because it could have been a half an inch this way, and it
would have been nothing
would ever happen.
That's
Your
right.
Shoulder rolled out of it and nothing. So
Yeah.
that's really the thing. Is like I don't think this was avoidable.
Right.
I don't think because if it was avoidable, it would have been avoided.
Right.
So it was just a freak accident. It was the perfect storm of bullshit that's happened, and I think consideration should be kept in this case. If you're gonna do it for people that potentially sexually assault people or are accused of assaulting people or harassing people, some gyms do that. I mean, some
Sure,
gyms
I know. We've been.
Well, there's no proof or whatever. Like
Yeah.
it's like
we had that with like Lloyd Irving's gym so many years ago.
it's
whatever.
frustrating.
So,
Yeah. So but it's not just frustrating, but it's a thing where like consideration needs to be given in the right cases.
Sure,
I
of
think
course
this
it
is
does.
that case.
It's a case by case basis.
He does absolutely need to be helped or compensated in some way, but it's not necessarily
found at the fault of the instructor.
Right.
Right. I mean, again, it was
there's
like
not a wrong
or
party here.
throwing jiu-jitsu under the bus for this, because like it was jiu-jitsu that caused this problem.
Right.
No.
So
Yeah,
don't blame
it's-
jiu-jitsu. It's your fault.
It's your well said. So you know what that leads us to. Speaking of questions that come, or you know that are raised.
Yeah.
I mean,
And black belts even.
yeah, even black belts. Would you think maybe you'd want to ask a black
belt.
belt?
Marry, fuck, kill. Gordon Ryan, John Danaher, and Craig Jones.
Kill, kill, kill.
There you go.
That was an easy one.
Yeah.
Does that become like a censored thing in podcasting where we just threatened to kill
No.
Gordon Ryan?
This is in the married, fuck, kill realm.
Yeah.
It's a game. We're playing a game.
Oh, we're just playing a game.
But now we're going to get it because my next question is: do you actually think you could kill him? Like, do you?
Yeah.
Even without these circumstances where you kind of feel like you have to,
Yeah.
or you must marry or have intimate sex with one of them, would you? Do you think like rolling, like, which one do you think would be like? Which one would you take first to kill?
I mean,
This is Ask a Black Belt from Pat.
well, I would say I would go after Gordon first because
He's going to be the hardest.
Right. So I always start with the hard stuff, end with the easy stuff.
Exactly.
Right. So I'm just
here comes the insult.
yes.
Who are you finishing with?
Well, I mean, Danaher is got a leg injury. He's got a crippled leg, and he's older. And so I feel like if I wanted to go through the order, it would be Gordon, it would be Craig Jones, and then it would be Danaher.
A team, B team, then D team.
See, look, it just works out like mathematics,
That's
right?
awesome.
It's how the alphabet works.
Then you would marry me.
Right. Then I would. Yeah. I mean, this is a no-brainer. Look,
What if they see this though, Jeff, and then they're insulted that you don't want to marry?
Okay,
or...
so I would just throw it back at them. I said, "Would you want to marry, fuck me, or kill me?" And they're like, "What are they going to say?"
They're going to go. Oh, now I see.
Right.
Now I get it.
They're going to be like,
"Yeah, I want to kill you, Jeff."
Right.
Right. I get it.
And then if one of them says, "I'd rather fuck you," I'd be like, "I wish you would kill me."
You've moved up to first. Because I would think that I'm like, all right, if I don't kill these guys, I got to marry them.
I guess, but depending on how you look at it, I could just say, "Fuck them."
Yeah, fuck them.
But what does that mean, right?
Yeah, you don't want to admit that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then that's the only one we had on the block today.
Yeah. No, it was a great question.
I guess that leads us to the final thing, and I guess we know you won't be picking any kind of wedding songs. This is not the wedding playlist, but what would be on your normal turntable?
Well, what's on my normal turntable? We had to talk about Cobra Man.
Yeah.
So
Cobra Man.
Yeah, we have to listen to Cobra Man.
I'm very excited to find out what. So Cobra Man is one person, or is it a group?
It's two people.
Two. This Cobra Man.
It is. Well, it is Cobra Man, except for it's a man and a woman.
What?
Yep.
So it's Cobra Man and Cobra Woman.
Yeah. Right.
Cobra people. Sorry, I'm rebranding them. What are they all about?
Well, so it's a great question because they're really hard to describe. And that's what makes them so interesting.
Stanley, you're in his shot, bro.
I mean, do you mind?
Hey.
I assume not.
Like,
so maybe you'll just have to
listen
to the sultry sound of my voice instead of the, get some ass.
Hey, come on, buddy.
Yeah, go ahead and get in there. Or you can move on. That's fine, too. I don't blame you. So, Cobra Man, listening to Cobra Man is, the way I was introduced to them was through a skateboarding video, and they actually were asked to put music together specifically for a part.
Oh, okay, for like a...
Yeah, and specifically for Warble World. And if you've not seen the Warble World videos, there's several of them. You need to watch them. They're amazing. Even if you're not a skateboarding fan, they're just terrific videos. Okay?
Okay.
It includes a guy that's a human ramp named Man Ramp.
I was just gonna ask,
Okay.
is it pranky? Does it have?
It's not pranky,
okay.
but it's very entertaining. It's like they take like the seriousness of skateboarding and it's fun, right?
Oh, okay.
Because skateboarding is fun. Like it's a blast. So I really appreciate it because it takes itself again serious fun. I like serious fun, and so these guys and gals are all very, very talented, very good skaters, and they make great videos that are artistic and interesting and creative, which I really like.
Yeah.
And Cobra Man was formed out of that necessity, and the music. I feel like I shouldn't even describe it.
Yeah, that's what
I feel like I should say listen to their if you want an introduction to them. They just released an EP. You should listen to the latest EP. It's available on Apple Music. It's right there on the top as it's just released. And like I said, we mentioned the song "Take a Rest," which is a personal favorite of mine. It's made a playlist that I'm curating currently about all my favorite skateboarding video songs.
Nice.
Right.
Yeah, we have to share that someday.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And so, Cobra Man.
I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited to find out what Cobra people are all about. Cobra Man.
Yeah, I feel like I wouldn't do it justice if I tried to explain the sound. It will sound extraordinarily familiar and brand new all at the same time.
I like that. My turntable is not unlike that.
Okay.
I feel like I have something that is, and I played a little bit of them for you. I think when you mentioned White Reaper.
Yeah.
Was a band called Graveyard that I've discovered recently, and it's kind of in this weird genre of bands where like they sound like classic bands, or they have that
sound
feeling.
like everything you've heard before, but not really.
Yeah, like those like how like I can't remember who it was a couple years ago. There were like wasn't Jet or like Wolf Mother, all these other ones that kind of sound like Led Zeppelin or AC/DC.
Right. Yeah.
But now.
But right. But contemporary. Right.
And that's how I feel about a lot of these bands. There's a band called Graveyard.
We listen to them.
That is like that, where they have this like very classic. I feel like they are a band that does it perfectly. Where Wolf Mother, Jet, those other bands, they sound like Led Zeppelin.
Right.
These guys feel like a classic rock band
for the sake of being
Currently.
a classic, right? For being a like they are part of the classic rock genre.
They're not trying to be. So I relate this to a lot of bands that I think after a while kind of start just writing, like if they don't change or grow enough,
right?
They kind of just start writing. So a good example is Pennywise. Pennywise, after a while, is a band that just started writing Pennywise songs.
Right.
Pennywise wasn't writing songs anymore. They were just a band that was like, what would we say about the government? Oh, fuck them. I got it. You know, and it's just like, it doesn't feel genuine. There's no real feeling behind it.
Right, and which was once a great band.
Right.
Right.
Like, so passionate. And you can still listen to those old songs and be like, man, fuck, yes.
Yeah, Pennywise is great. Right.
And then it gets to it. So the same idea. They have this feeling where they're not trying to be a classic rock band. They are a classic rock band now, but they're all young dudes.
Right.
It's an enigma, kind of like that same idea where with like White Reaper, where they just sound like a classic band, like this. They remind you of this, but they don't sound like they're trying to be them.
Right. No, they sound very much like themselves.
Yeah, Graveyard in particular is the band that I feel like kind of stands out. I think they started in like 2006 or something like that.
Sure, right. Not by any means a new band.
No. And maybe I might be off about that, but I'm still learning more and more about them. But I would check out, if you want to check out a song to start out with, it reminds me of like classic Scorpions, is a song called Satan's Finest. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that song.
Yeah, terrific.
But really, any of their whole catalog kind of just, it's like you said, it's hard to explain, but it's in that genre.
Right.
Yeah.
Perfect, man. Yeah, we've listened to them here last 2 weeks ago or whatever, and it's terrific.
It's really cool if you like a classic rock sound.
Yeah, definitely.
Hell yeah.
Definitely. So I think that's going to wrap it up for this episode.
I could do another 2.
You think you could do another 2 episodes?
Yeah, I got 2 more bands at least I got to talk about.